the United States political system, a bold experiment in self-governance. From its inception, the United States has stood as a symbol of democratic ideals. The United States Constitution, a document revered for its enduring principles, has served as a model for countless nations. The United States political system, with its emphasis on individual rights and limited government, has shaped the political landscape of the world. The United States system of governance, with its separation of powers and checks and balances, has been emulated and adapted by countries seeking to establish democratic institutions. The United States political system's impact extends beyond its borders. However, the United States political system is not without its flaws and challenges. The transformation from 13 individual colonies to a unified nation was neither simple nor predetermined. The American Revolutionary War, which spanned from 1775 to 1783, was a crucible for American identity. The desire for independence was fueled by oppressive British policies, which galvanized the colonies into action. Post-war, the need for a structured government was palpable, yet there was a strong aversion to any form of tyranny. The Articles of Confederation, America's first constitution, favored state sovereignty over a strong central government. In May 1787, delegates from 12 of the 13 states convened in Philadelphia with the monumental task of revising the Articles of Confederation. Led by figures such as George Washington, James Madison, and Benjamin Franklin, the convention resolved to construct a new framework. The Virginia Plan proposed a bicameral legislature with representation based on population, favoring larger states. The New Jersey Plan advocated for equal representation for states, a boon for smaller states. The Great Compromise resulted in a dual system of representation, the Senate with equal representation and the House of Representatives with proportional representation. Once the draft of the Constitution was completed in September 1787, the battle for ratification began. Federalists, including Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, and James Madison, argued in favor of the new Constitution through the Federalist Papers. The promise of a Bill of Rights was pivotal in securing the Constitution's acceptance. By June 21, 1788, the required 9 states ratified the Constitution, officially establishing the framework of the new government. The American Civil War, spanning from 1861 to 1865, represents one of the most tumultuous periods in U.S. history. It was a conflict rooted deeply in the nation's disagreements over slavery and states' rights. The war began with the Confederate attack on Fort Sumter in South Carolina. Abraham Lincoln, serving as president during this critical period, was a pivotal figure. His leadership and decisions, such as the issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation, were crucial. The war finally concluded in 1865 with the surrender of Confederate General Robert E. Lee at Appomattox Courthouse. This marked a significant turning point in American history, paving the way for the abolition of slavery. The abolition of slavery was a monumental stride towards civil rights, catalyzed significantly by the Civil War. The Emancipation Proclamation, issued by President Abraham Lincoln in 1863, was a crucial step. The ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865 legally abolished slavery throughout the United States. The abolition of slavery had deep economic implications, particularly in the southern states. The transition from a slave-based economy to one involving paid labor was tumultuous. African Americans started to participate in the political process, both as voters and as elected officials during the Reconstruction period. Reconstruction was the period following the Civil War from 1865 to 1877. The initial phase of Reconstruction, led by President Andrew Johnson, was characterized by relatively lenient terms for the southern states' readmission to the Union. The radical Republicans in Congress implemented a more stringent plan for Reconstruction. The 14th Amendment granted citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States. The 15th Amendment aimed to protect the voting rights of African American men. The birth of the United States saw the emergence of political factions which ultimately solidified into the two-party system. The Federalist Party, led by figures like Alexander Hamilton and John Adams, advocated for a strong central government. The Democratic Republican Party, championed by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, favored a more decentralized government. The rivalry between these two parties was fierce, shaping the early political landscape of the nation. The Federalists dominated the early years, but the Democratic Republicans gained increasing support over time. The early decades of the 19th century witnessed the decline of the Federalist Party. Internal divisions within the Democratic-Republican Party led to a split, giving rise to the Democratic Party and the Whig Party. The Democratic Party, tracing its roots back to Andrew Jackson, championed the ideals of the common man. The Whig Party emerged as a coalition opposed to Jacksonian democracy. The issue of slavery proved to be a major point of contention within the Whig Party. From the ashes of the Whig Party, a new party emerged, the Republican Party. The turn of the 20th century ushered in an era of significant social and political reform in the United States, known as the Progressive Era. The Industrial Revolution had transformed the nation, leading to rapid urbanization and industrial growth. The Progressive movement was a response to these challenges, driven by a diverse coalition of reformers. They sought to address a wide range of issues, from labor rights and women's suffrage to monopolies and environmental protection. Progressives advocated for greater government regulation of businesses to protect workers and consumers. Women's suffrage activists like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton had long fought for women's right to vote. Their efforts culminated in the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution in 1920, granting women the right to vote nationwide. The 1930s witnessed the most severe economic downturn in modern history, the Great Depression. The stock market crash of 1929 triggered a chain reaction that plunged the United States into an economic abyss. The Great Depression led to a reassessment of the role of government in addressing economic crises. Franklin Delano Roosevelt's election in 1932 marked a turning point. Roosevelt's New Deal programs expanded the federal government's role in the economy and social welfare. The decades following World War II witnessed a surge in activism for social justice and equality. The civil rights movement challenged racial segregation and discrimination known as Jim Crow. Events like the Montgomery bus boycott, sparked by Rosa Parks, gained momentum. Martin Luther King Jr. advocated for nonviolent resistance, inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. The March on Washington in 1963, where King delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech, was a defining moment. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. The struggle for racial equality and social justice continues to this day. The latter half of the 20th century witnessed a period of significant social and cultural upheaval in the United States, as various movements challenged traditional norms and values. The 1960s, in particular, saw the rise of the counterculture movement, which questioned established authority, embraced alternative lifestyles, and advocated for peace, love, and social justice. This counterculture movement was closely intertwined with the civil rights movement and the growing anti-war sentiment surrounding the Vietnam War. Young people, disillusioned with societal norms and government policies, sought to create a more equitable and peaceful world. They challenged traditional gender roles, experimented with new forms of art and music, and embraced a more inclusive and tolerant worldview. However, this period of social change also sparked a backlash, particularly among more conservative segments of society. The rise of the New Right in the 1970s and 80s reflected a growing conservative movement that sought to preserve traditional values and limit the role of government in social and economic affairs. This movement found a powerful voice in Ronald Reagan, who became president in 1981. Reagan's presidency ushered in an era of conservative dominance in American politics. His policies emphasized individual responsibility, free markets, and a strong national defense. Reagan's economic policies, dubbed Reaganomics, focused on tax cuts, deregulation, and reducing government spending. This shift towards conservatism had a lasting impact on American politics, shaping the political landscape for decades to come. The late 20th and early 21st centuries witnessed the dawn of the information age, a period marked by rapid technological advancements, particularly in computing and communications. The rise of the internet and social media had a profound impact on society, including the way people consume information and engage in political discourse. The internet provided unprecedented access to information, allowing citizens to become more informed about political issues and candidates. It also created new avenues for political participation, as individuals could connect with like-minded individuals, organize protests, and engage in online activism. However, this increased access to information also had its downsides. The proliferation of news sources and the rise of social media platforms led to the creation of echo chambers, where individuals were primarily exposed to information that confirmed their existing beliefs. This contributed to a growing trend of political polarization, as people became more entrenched in their own ideological camps and less willing to engage in constructive dialogue with those who held different views. Furthermore, the internet and social media became powerful tools for spreading misinformation and disinformation, making it increasingly difficult for citizens to discern truth from falsehood. This erosion of trust in traditional media outlets further exacerbated political polarization, as people turned to alternative sources of information that often lacked journalistic integrity. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the United States emerged as the world's sole superpower. This unipolar moment presented both opportunities and challenges for American foreign policy. The US played a leading role in shaping the post-Cold War world order, promoting democracy, free trade, and human rights. However, the US also faced new threats and challenges, including the rise of global terrorism, the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, and the growing economic power of China. The 9/11 terrorist attacks on the United States in 2001 marked a turning point, leading to the US launching the War on Terror, with significant military interventions in Afghanistan and Iraq. The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, while initially successful in toppling hostile regimes, proved to be costly and protracted conflicts. The US also faced criticism for its use of torture, drone strikes, and other controversial tactics in its pursuit of counter-terrorism objectives. These wars raised questions about the limits of American power and the challenges of maintaining global order in a multipolar world. Meanwhile, China's economic rise presented a significant challenge to US global leadership. China's rapid economic growth and its increasing military capabilities led to a shift in the balance of power, creating a more competitive and complex geopolitical landscape. The US and China engaged in a strategic rivalry characterized by both cooperation and competition in areas such as trade, technology, and security. The US political system's journey has been long and complex, marked by both remarkable achievements and enduring challenges. From its revolutionary beginnings to its current status as a global power, the US has continuously grappled with its founding ideals, striving to form a more perfect union. The US system's capacity for change is a testament to its resilience. Amendments to the Constitution, landmark legislation, and social movements demonstrate its ability to adapt, to reflect evolving societal values and address injustices. The ongoing pursuit of civil rights, economic justice, and political equality underscores the dynamic nature of US democracy. Despite its strengths, the US political system faces contemporary challenges. Political polarization, social divisions, and economic inequality threaten its fabric. The rise of misinformation, voter suppression, and threats to democratic norms pose significant concerns. Addressing these issues is crucial for the health and longevity of US democracy. The US political system's story is far from over. It continues to evolve, shaped by the actions and choices of its citizens. As the nation confronts both domestic and global challenges, understanding its political journey is paramount. By learning from its past and engaging in informed civic participation, citizens can shape the future of US democracy and its role in the world.